Hey, this is Miranda at Elsie's Taxidermy. We're going to be mounting a squirrel today using our kits. First step, we're going to put our squirrel in the sink, and he's already been fleshed and skinned, and so we're going to stick him in the sink, let him thaw out, and then we'll get him in the washing machine to spin all of the water out, get him dried up and ready to go. Alright, I'm following along with our instructions that are included in our kit. And I'm on step number 45 where it says, you know, after we have it washed and we've washed both sides inside out, at this point, while the squirrel is still wet, it's easy to turn all four legs inside out. Well, actually, this would be right side in because it's already inside out. What we mean by that is these big feet that they have in the back, especially these fox squirrels, when you have to re-invert them to go right side out, while it's wet, it pops through a whole lot easier because the big foot has to go through a little bitty space right here. And then we'll do that again on this other back leg. And it squeezes right. Ooh. Looks like our stitches may have to come undone. Yep, and it blew through the foot right there. So we'll have to re-stitch that. Okay, turn that off. Alright, following along with our directions, we're on step number 46. Rinse all of the soap completely to ensure the fur will fluff up nicely when the squirrel is dry. When you have thoroughly washed and dried the skin, wring out the excess water with your hands. Pay special attention to the legs as water tends to collect inside of them. So you want to hang him up like this. You're going to squeeze as you go down. Now that tail and those back feet have filled up with water. So you want to take those. Let's see, I'm getting turned around here. And as you squeeze, that won't go back up into the hide. Then you're going to get your tail and get that excess water out. Okay. Now, we're going to towel dry the skin to remove as much of the water as possible before blow drying it with compressed air or a hair dryer on low heat. So you just want to get your towel. And this doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. You're just trying to soak up excess moisture. All right, this is how you want to lay him out on the towel. Kind of just stretch him out as if he's sunbathing. And roll him up. And then we're going to take this, put it in the washer just on the spin cycle. Don't make the mistake and hit rinse too, like I've done many a time. So I'm going to go throw them in the washer and we'll be back. All right, now we are on step numbers 49, 50, and 51. Completely dry the squirrel skin until it is fluffy and not damp to the touch. You may not have compressed air or a pet dryer or even a blow dryer for that matter. But we found this handy dandy little mattress inflator. So maybe if you have an air mattress, you can, you know, use the little thing that inflates it. Either one of those will work, you know, any of the things that I mentioned. So we have the squirrel out of the washing machine where we use that to spin all of the excess water out of it. So now we'll get to drying it and make it all fluffy and pretty. All right, as you're blow drying your squirrel, it's going to be flat. You're going to lay it down this way flat, lay it this down or this way flat. And you need to make sure that when you're finished, you pick it up and kind of roll the flat parts or these edges right here to make sure that you have all of it dry. Just like this part right here, this was on the edge and I didn't do too good of a job, but I kind of left it there just to show you where you can roll it like that, and that is no longer the edge, and you can dry that part just to make sure all of it is nice and fluffy, because a fluffy squirrel makes a real nice mount. All right, so now we're on steps 52 and 53. You will need to use dry preservative borax to coat the entire flesh side of the skin, including inside the legs and tail. Use a pencil. I'm going to use this paintbrush, but you can use whatever you have to get the preservative to work it down into the legs all the way to the toes. So I'll show you. I'm not going to use the little pack that comes in the kit. I already had this laid out, so I'm just going to use that, or this right here, instead of what comes in the kit. Work it down into the squirrel. And pull his head out. You're going to find his front legs. Here's one. Work that down in there, and you can feel it. It's kind of like a bean bag. You just want to make sure you get it all the way down into there to soak up some of that excess moisture. Okay, and you can leave it out so you know that you've already done that leg and you won't get confused. Same thing here. And the back legs.
Are y'all ever gonna get that squirrel mounted?
You got a foot to sew up. I think you missed it.
Put a stitch in
Leg number 4. Just kind of rub it in a little bit. No need in being gentle with it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to get the borax down into the tail. Oh. If I can find the wire. Here it is. You're going to take your tail wire and run it all the way down to the bottom. And you're going to have to push it out through the end of it. But it seems like what I can feel, there is something blocking my way. Since there's something, it seems to be maybe borax down in here that got kind of pushed in right here at the bottom, and you can't get your wire to go all the way through. One thing you can do is find the underside of the tail, the very tip. Get a sharp, I don't know if this one's going to work or not. It might not be sharp enough, but you want to just make one little cut. You don't want to go all the way through it. That's why my finger is under there, because I do not want to cut myself. So I'm not going to go all the way through the tail. I'm not sure what this is. Down in here, it may be a little piece of the bone. I think that's what it is. All right, so we don't have to sit there and pick on it. You can take your wire and run it through that hole. And kind of do the opposite of what you were doing before. There we go. So that's just a little trick of the trade there, and there's always more than one way to get it done. Now we're at the part where we're going to prepare our mannequin. And by that, I mean we're going to go in here and cut the lip slots. And then we're going to Dremel out or cut out the little nostrils here. And let's see, I'm going by the instructions. So it's use a razor knife or Dremel tool. That's if you have it available, to cut the slots and deepen the mouth so you have room to tuck the lip skin in there. Also deepen the nostrils. If you happen to use a Dremel tool, just be careful not to make these slots like too wide, where the lip skin will not tuck down in there and stay. Because if it's too wide, then as the skin dries, it'll pull away from it and expose the mannequin, and you really don't want that. So I'll start off to kind of show you how to do it with the razor knife, and then I'll finish it with the Dremel. But you're just gonna go in. If I can get this knife to work, probably not, because it's old. And you want to cut just like a V-shaped notch. You want to pay close attention and make a bigger slot right here in the corners, because the corner of the mouths have a little bit more excess skin. So you just keep whittling at it like this until you feel like you've made a little trench, just like a little notch. Like, yeah, like that. I don't know if you could see that right there. And then I'll finish this side with my little Dremel. Well, let's see. We'll go at it upside down. so you could see here the little notches, and then I made a little bit bigger of a space to tuck that corner of the mouth into right there. All right, now we're going to get our clay. A small amount of clay in the ear indention and the eye socket. I don't want to rip this bag. So I can close it back up. I'll just take my knife. I know I won't need this much, but all right, here we go. Small amount of clay. And well, this is a good tip too. Instead of taking this, sticking it in there, make another ball, stick it in there, you want to go ahead and make all of your little balls at the same time so you can make sure to have the right size. All right, so one is a little bit small. Add to it. Okay, so that's for the ears. And then we'll make the two for the eyes. It's a good rule of thumb, even for the feet. Make sure they're all uniform. Still looks a little small. Okay. Here's the indentions for the ears, right here behind the eyes. Just kind of smush that in there. And this is for the inner part of the ear. The skin will sit down in here. And when it dries, it'll dry into the clay, and you don't have to worry about your ears moving around on you or moving into the wrong spot. Okay, same thing for the eyes. You're going to fill up this eye socket here. Okay. Oh, I thought I had them opened already, but here's your glass eyes. Okay. You're going to set the eye right in the center of that socket and push it into that indention. Then you're going to flatten your clay and feather it out. That way it adheres to the mannequin. Okay. Now for this one, same process. Okay, now you want to take your squirrel, look at him from the front, just to make sure that you don't have one eye sticking out further than the other one, or the top coming out or the bottom shooting out. You want to make sure that they're both symmetrical, and then you can look at it from the top, checking each side. And this one looks pretty good, so we'll go ahead and go with that. Okay, now we're going to take our clay. Well, I've already done this, but this is the stage that we're at now, where you're going to roll out a small ball of clay and insert into each leg skin. Use your fingers to work the clay down into the toes. You'll also need some clay for the tail. Only a third of the tail closest to the body will need clay. That's just a rough estimate. You can put as much or as little as you want, but I mean, really, you could even get away with, you know, this much of the clay, really depending on how big your squirrel is too. So let's see. And I've already divided out the 4 little balls here. Find your front leg, drop it down in there, and you know what, I'm going to show you a better way to do this, because it tends to get stuck and then you're using pressure to push it all the way into the toes. Well, by the time you get it to the toes, you have no more clay left because it's spread out like butter from here to here. And you're really wanting to fill up these little foot pads here. So I'm gonna take this out, and you wanna dip it in some water. And that's gonna make it a little slicker, a little slimier. And watch me make a liar out of myself. This is the clay is cold, and so it's not wanting to act right, but typically this little trick works. I may have to go stick it by the heater. That's a little better. Yep, I managed to keep it where only a little bit was left behind. You can always use a little more, make the balls a little bit bigger, but you're just really wanting to fill up this foot pad. Okay. Maybe I'll try to knead it a little bit, warm it up. And that might help wet it. Yep, that worked a little better. Okay. There's the front legs. And we will push it all the way down. I threw a couple stitches in this foot because it's going to be on the bottom. Nobody's going to see it. So I just left the stitches like that. And I'm not getting the clay where I need it, so I will be right back with another trick. So there's another little trick for you, especially those of you that live in colder climates where it's hard to keep your tools and little things that you need working properly. Okay, so there's our back foot. And all right, now we're going to do the tail. And I have it soaking in the hot water too. And since I've already shaped it, I'm just going to leave it like that. And you want to insert it down into that space. And just kind of push it down and flatten it out right there. That way that part will stick up to this part of the mannequin where the tail should be. All right, now we're gonna put his skin on, or we're gonna get him dressed. We're gonna, oh, we have to put the feet into the hide first. It's been a minute since I've mounted one of these, so just bear with me. It's like I'm having to relearn all over again. And that clay being kind of wet and slimy will help it slide on there a little bit easier. I say it will. There we go. And I'm all twisted up here. Lord. Okay. And a good way to check to make sure you have everything positioned correctly. After a while, you'll notice these, like the different hair patterns, you'll see where his elbow is supposed to be. And so you just make sure that it's lined up in the right place. All right, and here's the other one. Okay, well there's his front legs. Now we're going to slip the rest of the mannequin in here. I hope I'm doing this at a good angle. It's just hard to keep it straight for everybody to see what they need to see. Let's scoot up a little bit. And be careful when you're pulling on the skin. You don't want to pull out big chunks of fur. Just be gentle with it. All right, Mr. Squirrel. Oh, there you are. All right, he looks kind of terrible, but I can't pull it all the way down because we have to put the screw down into these front legs to attach them, God bless you, to attach them to the body. But make sure your skin is not pinched in this crevice down here where the front legs attach to the rest of the mannequin. Okay, now we're going to set the ears where they go. Here's another little trick. You can place this into the base of that ear. You find the little spot where you put that clay, and you want to push that ear base down into that clay. Then you take your pins and push those through. Okay, there's one ear. Now we're going to grab the corners of our eyes. Let's find our nose to make sure we have a good reference point as to, since the eye is round, you need to make sure you have your corners lined up where they're supposed to go, and you would use your nose as a reference. Okay, then you can take your pencil, whatever it is that you're using, kind of lay your skin down. Okay, there's one eye. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ear and the eye, and I'll come back and show you how to do the mouth. And then we're going to, I have this little tool, I don't even know what it's used for. I think it's a dental tool, but sometimes I just pick up things along the way. But you can use pins, just any kind of tool that has kind of a little edge on it, a little, you know, something that'll fit down into that crevice. You're going to tuck the skin down in here. All right, now I'll put a center pin pull it down in the center right there. Oops. And then you want to seat this back down in the crevice again. Grab the edge down there with the tip of your needle. Push it down and do the same thing on this side. Let's see if I can get it to where you can still see it. All right, now we're going to grab the center at the bottom. Grab it, pull it up to the center here, seat that pin, grab your tool, whatever it may be, and the same thing, you're just going to kind of tuck it in. And then use your pins to hold it in place. In the first couple of days, it's not going to look its best, but as you continue to watch it as it dries, you'll be able to manipulate the skin a little bit if something seems a little bit off until it dries completely. And then once it does that, yeah, you won't be able to move it at all. So make sure that, you know, at least a day or two that you have everything in the right place. Let's see, it's gonna look like Frankenstein by the time I get finished with it. But these pins will guarantee that this skin Won't let it move everywhere. But we've included enough pins in here that you will not run short. So now you just kind of want to go over it, make sure everything is in its correct place, fluff it up a little bit. You might want to even take your dryer, kind of blow it a little bit, because some of the little hairs might be pulled out or whatever, and you can blow all that out. But basically we're done. So I appreciate you watching. And if you have any questions, you can always email us here at the shop. All of our information is on our page, and we enjoy talking to you in the future.